Lord's equal vision. The Lord's equal vision.
Hare Krishna and welcome to another episode of Bhagavatam Reflections. I am your fellow traveler, Sri Radha Govindadasi. Today we'll explore how Srimad Bhagavatam and the teachings, the wisdom of the Bhagavatam, it applies to our lives. Today we will be looking at some profound questions about the motivations of the Supreme Lord, the power of absorption in Him and the nature of His mercy. And here's a twist. We'll also connect these ancient lessons with modern situations and real-life dilemmas. Okay, let's begin. So, it's very difficult to understand the motivations of the Lord. Imagine watching a chess grandmaster play, okay? Every move seems cryptic to a person who is new to the game. Why sacrifice a queen? Why did he leave a knight exposed? Right? So similarly, the Supreme Lord's actions are beyond human logic. The Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first chapter of the 7th canto, it teaches that even great sages and demigods, they're actually perplexed by His divine Leela. Even in Bible, we see many examples where the suffering seems very unjust. But just in hindsight, we see that it was a test of faith. Also similar, Krishna's motivations are always immediately not clear. Krishna's motivations are not always immediately clear, but they serve a greater purpose beyond our limited understanding of situations.
What seems as biased to human eyes is Dharma's call where truth lies. The measure of divine.
Why does He act? The sages inquire. His motives beyond what mortals aspire. Not even demigods can truly perceive the reasons for actions we strive to believe. See, the power of absorption in the Lord.
In devotion's fire, the truth is plain. Like heat from flames, His favor shines in hearts where love for Him aligns.
Consider, okay, modern social media influencers. People obsess over them, right? When they love them or hate them, doesn't matter. And you know what is the irony? Even haters contribute to the fame of these people. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, that's not a new thing. In Bhagavatam already suggests that even hatred towards Krishna is considered absorption in Krishna. So don't worry, in anger or fear, keep Krishna always near, because it brings purification. And one example in the scriptures is Shishupal. His constant focus on Krishna, despite being driven by so much jealousy, resentment, envy, he was ultimately granted liberation. So similarly, if we look at today's world, we see how people are fixated on certain figures, positively or negatively, doesn't even matter. But often they find their lives shaped by that focus. So be it love, fear, envy, or delight, to focus on Krishna is to bask in His light. Shishupala's hatred, though fierce and wild, still brought him closer to the Lord, so mild. Krishna gave him liberation. So,
to those surrendered, His mercy flows like a river of bliss where bhakti grows.
the grassworm and the bee. Okay, what is that?
The lesson of the bee and the worm. In a hole, the grassworm stays confined, with fear of the bee consuming its mind.
So, I have a whole song, and I'm going to be putting the link to the song. You can take a look at the whole song. But basically, if you've ever heard of this psychological phenomena where people trapped in captivity, they develop an intense connection with their captor. And people are abused, they get attached to the abuser. So this is known as Stockholm Syndrome in psychology. So Narada Muni is giving this analogy.
So to not others wisdom shows, mind becomes where its focus goes. Even through fear or hatred's flame, Thinking of Krishna transforms the same.
A grass worm and the bee, they mirror this concept. The concept that a grass worm, it's trapped and he's constantly fearing the bee. But because of that prolonged focus, he transforms himself into a bee. So amazing, so far out. So when we're constantly thinking about somebody's faults, constantly thinking about somebody, even if we don't like that person, when we keeping focusing on that, it gets to us in some way or another. So this is also another example to show the power of meditation and intense concentration. Whether through devotion or obsession, what we consistently focus on, we become. And if we immerse ourselves in Krishna consciousness, wow, right? Transformation is inevitable. So in a hole, the grass worm stays confined. This is the song for you.
To think of the Lord in love or fear transforms the soul, redeems the past, and leads to freedom pure and vast. For Krishna's mercy is ever kind, beyond the limits of mortal mind. In hate or love, if the heart is true, the Lord's compassion will carry.
All right, the next section is about the difference. Okay, picture two students. One skips class, ignores the subject, and the other constantly complains about the teacher, but still engages with the material. Come exam day, who is more prepared? Right? So this is the tale of King Vena and
Vena and Shishupala's tale. Two kings of earth, so far apart. One ignored the Lord, the other played his part. King Vena, with atheism deep, neglected the Lord, his fate did reap. But Shishupala, though filled with hate, focused on Krishna.
Vala. Vena's neglect of Krishna led to his spiritual ruin. He completely was indifferent. He wasn't thinking of Krishna at all. It was just a nonsense. While Shishupal, he was very hateful. He was abusive too. But he kept Krishna in the mind so much, so focused on Krishna that in the end, that focus mattered more than the sentiment.
In envy's fire, his thoughts did burn, yet liberation's grace he did earn. The mercy of the Lord.
Vena, lost in worldly wise and scorn, turned from the Lord, his heart forlorn. But Shishupala, with the venom in his gaze, chanted the Lord's name, hate-filled praise. Sometimes jealousy, sometimes we may feel jealous about somebody, but praise, remember, that's another indirect way of appreciating the person. Somebody may be jealous of us, but it's an indirect way they're actually appreciating us. So in this context, we see how the Lord's mercy on Shishupal, how is that mercy? How is killing Shishupal mercy? See, have you ever been in an unexpected situation where you were unexpectedly saved by a tough situation? Maybe you were prevented from getting fired, or an accident was about to happen and it was prevented. And, maybe a job that led you to a better opportunity. So similarly, Krishna's killing of Shishupal, it wasn't a punishment, but it's an act of mercy. So liberating him from cycle of birth and death is like a huge thing.
By a curse, they fell to earthly strife. Yet Krishna's mercy restored their life. With his Sudarshana, their sins erased. To Maikunta's gates, their souls embraced. The Lord's compassion knows no bounds. In his justice, eternal grace resounds, and eternal truth. Oh, seekers, hear this lesson clear.
So in modern times, if we think of some severe but loving intervention, we can give example of a parent cutting off an addicted child. If a child is addicted to sugar, or if a teenager is addicted to drugs or something, the parents cut them off, but it's a way that they're ultimately saving them. So what seems harsh can often be greatest act of love. So when Krishna's disc did Shishupala's life was claimed, it was not wrath, but mercy in his aim. The hatred Shishupala had held so tight became his path to transcendental light. So in closing thoughts, my dear friend, what are the lessons we can learn from today's podcast episode? What are the realizations from this chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam? Is that Krishna's actions are beyond our limited logic. Just like that master strategist when he's playing a chess game. And any form of absorption in Krishna, even negative, it leads to perfection. It leads to purification. So just like modern day media phenomena, right? Hatred also. Yeah, don't worry, hatred comments, well, it's a comment. Focus and engagement, they shape our spiritual outcome. So it's not just emotions, but what kind of intensity. Tivrena bhakti yogena. So to do that with super focus. Then Krishna's mercy is also impartial. What may seem like hardship is often divine intervention. I like that. And so, as we navigate our own spiritual journeys, let's strive to fix our minds on the Lord with as much devotion as we can muster. And thank you for joining me today on Bhagavatam Reflections. Until next time, keep contemplating, keep growing, and keep your focus on Krishna. Hare Krishna.